as the weather's been so beautiful. We've been chucking the chores, heading outside to enjoy the beautiful September weather. This week we need to pull the house back together, so we are doing a whole house reset around here. I recently got a new cabinet secondhand. Today I'm going to share with you some tips for how to style your home with antique furniture, where to find it, and what to look for when you're looking. Stick around. If you're new around here, I'm Kathleen. 8 years ago, my husband and I bought a fixer-upper farmhouse in rural central Kentucky, and we were slowly DIYing it back to life. I've learned so much about my personal style in the process, as well as how to DIY the looks that I want, and this is what I love to share about on this channel, along with timeless wardrobe ideas too. I love clothes. I love sourcing clothes and home goods, secondhand and vintage, and I would love if you hung out with me every week. Please like this video and hit that subscribe button and hang out with me. I'm doing a whole house reset the next couple weeks because things got really cattywampus around here with the start of the school year. I'm starting in my dining room because I just got this beautiful old set of wooden lockers from our church. Our church was doing some remodeling in their old school building, and these were going to go straight into the roll-away dumpster, and it just broke my heart. I couldn't stand it. So we asked if we could take them, and we got permission, so we went over there and loaded them in our pickup and brought them on home. I think they're probably from about the 1960s, and they're just a set of wooden lockers. For now, we have put them in this little nook in our dining room, which originally held a beautiful carved built-in. These are not exactly a fine piece of carved furniture, and they're a little small for the space, but they do fit, and they're going to give me a lot more storage in the dining room. Eventually, we might move them somewhere else and have them be cubbies, lockers for the children, for their coats and things. It bothers me that they're not as like the same caliber as like our carved mantelpiece, which we think came over from France on a boat. At the same time, they shipped some altarpieces for the church because the original owner of the house was a big donor to the church. They're so beautiful and fine, and the wood lockers are they're fine, but they're just sort of banged together. They're like a primitive piece, and I really like them, but I'm concerned that they're just not going to fit in long term. And that got me thinking about, how do you style furniture in your house, used furniture, antique furniture? It's easy, a little too easy to start getting the yard sale look, the consignment shop look, the scary mishmash look. So I thought I would share with you today some of my ideas for acquiring things secondhand and making them all come together for your own cohesive look. What happened with us is that we needed to furnish our home because we bought a house that had more rooms than our tiny first starter house. And so really quickly, actually, we started to acquire secondhand furniture from my family. I just happened to fall in this part of my family where nobody was interested in the old things, so I got some of my grandmother's and great-grandmother's things, and we started to acquire things too from yard sales and thrift stores, because my husband and I both absolutely love to shop this way, and we really do see eye to eye with our tastes. So quickly we started to acquire things, but then just as quickly the house started to look sort of like a yard sale, mishmash, a scary mishmash maybe, because we didn't really have a plan. We were just acquiring things that we liked, and sometimes even when you're acquiring things that you like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all just going to magically turn into the Ralph Lauren showroom in Milan. So what I have come to realize is holding it very loosely. I would say I've got a couple rules of thumb, but they're just rules of thumb. But number one is define your own style. Define what colors and prints you love. Make a plan for each of your rooms. I resisted this one for so long, but it really does help. And then finally, an advanced step would be take measurements for furniture, so when you're out, you know if a piece is too big or if it is too small. I've got a whole playlist on layout rules for living rooms that's got more information on how to make a plan for your room, how to design space layouts, and how to measure and that kind of thing. I will link it down below if you'd like more info on all of that. I've got a lot of hopes and dreams for this dining room. I'm hoping to redo the walls and ceiling. I would like to do a Swedish look in here. Swedish country style is one of my favorites. If you're not familiar with that style, I've got a whole playlist on it. But basically, it's a little riff on French country style. These chairs are carved they were my great grandmother's. I painted them and recovered them, and they have their Swedish style of chair with the straight fluted legs and the curved back, and then the straight slats of wood coming down. This was my great grandmother's sideboard. I moved it from its place because we put the lockers where it used to be, and so we had to move it over to make room for the lockers. And then I had to pull all of the dishes out so that I could move it over again, because it's not going to work right here in front of the windows. It's just a really bad spot for it. I pulled out all these dishes and I realized that the sideboard was way jam-packed. It had too many dishes in there. And it was really hard to get to all of them because I have my grandmother's and my mother's china now. I just cannot say no when relatives ask if I want things. So I pulled everything out. This sideboard is also a reproduction, like neoclassical Gustavian style piece. I had no idea when I acquired these things that's what it was. I've just learned this from reading and doing research. And that is what has been the jumping off point for this dining room, as I've got this furniture that works well with that Gustavian style. You see those straight, not curvy, but the legs are straight, and then they have flutes or channels on them. And there's this channeling also trim. And that's what makes it a neoclassical style. The wallpaper that you see here is not original in any way. It was put up in the 90s, and I actually find it really hideous. I would love to take it all down and put a huge stencil up inspired by something that I saw in a picture of a palace in Sweden. I think it's the Gripsholm Palace, if I'm saying that correctly, but it's this giant tree motif. And I think that I could figure out how to get a stencil cut big enough. I think my aunt can help me. She has a machine that does this. Then we could just go around and have this repeating stencil motif. But that's the pretty fun part. The not fun part is going to be carefully taking the wallpaper down and checking to see if there's any damage to the plaster underneath. There's also some plaster crown molding in here that is damaged and needs some repair. And then there's the floors. So it's quite a bit of work before you get to the fun finishing touches, but it is a great idea, I think, to start with a vision of where you want to go. And one way to make your plan is to have a jumping off point. So for you, it could be a rug. It could be, like for me, these pieces of furniture that I love from my great grandmother, something just to get you started in the right direction. And maybe you're thinking, well, that's great, Kathleen, but I don't have my great grandmother's neoclassical reproduction sideboard. So where am I supposed to find this antique furniture? So, okay, antique, vintage furniture. So there's antiques are really expensive. They're like the real McCoy. There's real antique shops. Usually that stuff is going to be a lot more. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. So there's your antique shops. Then you've got like your peddlers malls. We had those all over Kentucky, and I guess they have the same thing in other states. Antique malls where you go and there's lots of different booths and there's different vendors selling, and not everything in there is necessarily an antique, okay, but it's all sort of vintage. So I think vintage is technically defined as like, it's not 100 years old, but it's got some age on it. You can get some really great deals in there because there's solid wood furniture from the 30s and 40s and 50s that's being sold for way cheaper than you can buy new, and it's very solid. You just have to know what it is you want, and that's where having a plan before you go out and look at everything really comes in handy. So you've got your antique malls, you've got your real antique shops and dealers, then you've got real antique online stores like Cherish, and then there's Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is my favorite. It is the best, I think, currently if you're looking to get things local to your area at rock bottom prices. And I say that as someone, I live somewhere where it takes a long time to find what I like on Facebook Marketplace. It's not the fastest or biggest market. We live in a very rural area in a state that doesn't have the biggest population. So you might be in a similar situation, or maybe you live somewhere like New Jersey, which, in which case you are going to have a lot more luck because there's just more population and there's more stuff and there's more old stuff because it's on the East Coast of the US. It just depends, but I think Facebook Marketplace is great, and what you should do is just go on there and look for things that you like, and when you like them, whether you're planning to buy them or not, just save them, and you are teaching the algorithm what it is that you like, and then Facebook will serve up more and more things on Marketplace that it thinks you will like to see based on the things that you are hearting, and over time you will start to build up to where when what it is that you're looking for comes available in your area, you will see it. And it can be kind of a fun way to pass the time instead of doom scrolling through social media when you're at the dentist or something. Get on Facebook Marketplace and work on training that algorithm to find what it is that you are looking for. Aside from Facebook Marketplace, there's also in-person auctions local to your area, and then there's online auctions that ship all over the country. So auctions can be a great source for things as well. I have found that the in-person auctions generally have better prices because the shipping can really be a killer with the, shipping from all over type places. So auctions are kind of a different beast, though. Don't be intimidated the first couple times you go. It's a little intimidating and it's very time consuming. So if you've got little kids at home, like I haven't been to auctions in a long time because I'm just too busy with my children. But when I did have time, and I'm sure in the future I'll have time again, they really can be a blast. You just have to know what it is that you're looking for. I have included a couple of resources down below that might help you in your journey to know what you're looking for. One is a guide to French furniture shapes, and another is a little cheat sheet for Swedish country style. So if you're interested in either or both of those, grab those down below. I will link them in the comments. Just sign up for my email list and I will send them as a PDF to you in your email. And I hope that they help you out a lot. My son helped me move the buffet over here and it looks really good over here, and the whole room is actually feeling a lot better. That heavy, the lockers are helping to balance out that corner where there was a beautiful built-in. The lady that we bought the house from, she was there that the day that the house was auctioned. She and her husband bought the house and they were auctioning the contents, and for some reason, even though it was a built-in, they auctioned it off, and she was so chagrined and sad that her husband, they were not able to, they were outbid, and it just broke her heart and tore her up that it wasn't there, and she was so angry about it even 20 years later when we bought the house. And now I understand why there really does need to be a built-in in that corner, but the lockers are helping to balance it out for now. Maybe someday we will find that built-in and it will be restored to its rightful place. But I did have too many dishes in the sideboard, so I decided that I would go ahead and put some of them in my new lockers. I am loving this new storage. I hope I've inspired you to style antique and secondhand and vintage furniture in your own home. Please check out those links in the comments for your PDF on French furniture shapes and Swedish country style. If you want to learn more about making a plan for decorating, check out my living rooms playlist. Check out my English, Swedish, and French country styles playlists. I think you'll find a lot of really useful information on those. And let me know how you are styling antique and vintage pieces in your home. What are your tips and tricks? What have you learned? And what is it that you love to look for? I can't wait to chat with you all in the comments, and I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye for now.